Kiefer Crosbie,
What's going on, my man?
welcome to the Modern Warrior podcast. It's brilliant to have you here, and it's been a long time coming. And I've been following your journey for quite some time, and I know that behind the fight, behind the person we see on social media, the person out there, the fighter that we know, I know there's a very genuine and authentic human behind Kiefer Crosbie, the fighter. And this is the purpose of the podcast today, is to get to know the man behind the fight. And to get there, the first question I'd like to ask is, we're all a product of our environment. And if you were to look back at your environment from an early age, what do you feel that environment offered you, or what were the influences in that environment that shaped the man that you are today?
They were all negative, really. Yeah, if I'm honest. I'm from the inner city in town. I come from kind of a ran down enough area, to be honest. I grew up around a lot of people that were kind of struggling, even still to this day. Where I'm from, people are still struggling to get by, and it's very, very easy to slide down that slope and get involved in the wrong things, which I have my whole life. Just by default, just being you're a product of your environment. That's what, as you said, and I've made a lot of mistakes and done a lot of stupid shit, and have a lot of friends that aren't here with me anymore, and I have a lot of friends that are living very, very different lives. You know what I mean? This day and age, I have friends that are locked up, friends that are dead, friends that are homeless. Friends that have done okay for themselves as well, of course, but just when I sit back and I look at what could have been of my life, it's shocking, you know what I mean? And thankfully I found martial arts at an early enough age that gave me something to focus on, other than the negatives, because where I'm from, you're either hanging around on the streets, getting up to, fuck all, no good, or you're out doing drugs, or out selling drugs, or you're out, you're going one of them ways. Or you might break out and do something else. Again, I have a good few friends that have gone to college and done stuff like that as well, of course. I'm not going to just knock everyone from my area, of course, but I've also just been around it in my whole life that it's easily influenced and easily dragged into bad situations. And then before you know it, you're 30 years of age, looking back going, what the fuck was I doing, So thankfully for me, martial arts was found early on, and it gave me something to focus on, you know what I mean? And then obviously when I was a teenager, I got kicked out of school. I would go to the gym every day because my mates were in school. I hadn't got a school to go to, so I just went to the gym every day. But in a way, that kind of worked out and gave me a path that I got more dedicated to martial arts. You know what I mean? Just through getting kicked out of school. I'm not saying you should get kicked out of school now, yeah. If anyone's listening, but for me, it was just I just went to the gym every day, and then I started working in the gym, and then here I am.
Here we are, yeah. Just like that, yeah.
Thankfully, it kind of is like that. I'm 35 now, and it's like in a blink. Where did 20 years go? You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy, but yeah, man, you blink and you miss it. You know what I mean? So here we are.
Do you feel it was a matter of you finding martial arts, or was it martial arts finding you?
It was kind of like I was, I only said this the other day. I did a talk up the north, and they were asking something similar, and it was like, again, the area I'm from, you would easily get into a fight, and when I grew up, fighting was like normal. You get into a fight all the time, do you know what I mean? And it could be over anything, could be over something, just looking at you sideways, or playing football in the flats, or just anything floating around at Halloween time, and there'd be absolute murder going on. And I would have been keen to get into a few scraps when I was young, or getting jumped on, or if you're walking down the road on your own, you might see a group of young fellas, and it's a very vulnerable feeling to be on your own, do you know what I mean? And there's a group of them, you're on your own. So for me, I always just wanted to learn how to fight, to be able to fight well in the street and be able to defend myself. So I kind of fell in love with the idea of if I just became really, really good at fighting, and had this fantasy of smashing about 10 people up at the same time, do you know what I mean? Which is, again, 10 years of age, probably thinking like this. But when I started training in the gym, I started learning quickly, shit, you actually do learn how to fight here. They do teach you how to punch and kick and, stand correct and keep your hands up and block shots. And I fell in love with that part of it. I never really thought about doing competitions around. I just wanted to learn how to fight for the street. But then I entered a competition and I done very well, and I came second. I had 13, maybe 15 fights in one day, and I came second, which was a very good accomplishment back then for me. So I fell in love with the idea of, you know, trying to win and get a big trophy or, you know, something like this sport. So, and then it just became a fascination of mine of just like, what if I just keep getting better and better and better and become like unbelievably good at fighting? Do you know what I mean? And then that just, it took over my life then. Do you know, I had this fascination of just being the best fighter I could possibly be. Do you know what I mean? And I'm 35 and I'm still trying to I'm still trying to perfect my skills.
Still climbing that mountain.
Still trying to climb the mountain. The never-ending mountain. Yeah.
Was it a matter of, as you mentioned there, you sort of started martial arts to protect yourself from the street and to be able to fight back and defend yourself, to then going into this competition without any real expectation, just show up and see what happens, but then having gone so far in that competition and nearly winning it, that then give you a new sense of belief that you started to move from, in terms of, oh, actually, maybe I can become a champion. Maybe I can become good at this. Was that a turning point for you when you look back at that?
Yeah, it's funny because the first competition, again, I only said this recently on another podcast, it was the way that they worked, it's a tournament style format, and it would be the equivalent of the All Irelands in boxing. It was a kickboxing at the time. So it was an open tournament, so you sign up and you get put into your category, names in a hat, and they pull the names out. It's basically as simple as that. So they pulled the name out, pulled another lad's name out, and in my first ever fight, he beat me.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm at the losing. But what happens is you get put into like the losers category. So we got put over into the losers category. And I had another shot at fighting, so I didn't know this. So they called my name out again, and I was like, oh shit. So I ended up fighting again. But I won that one, and then I won the next one, and I won the next one, and I kept winning. I almost had like 10, 11 fights in a row, and I won them all. Kept winning. I was like, fuck. Before I knew it, I was in the finals with the same bloke that beat me in the very first fight.
Yeah.
He ended up winning his whole category. So here we are again, boom, meeting again in the finals. And I was like, I remember thinking, I'm going to lose this. You know what I mean? Because just, he beat me already today. How am I going to win now? He already beat me. That's the way I used to think.
That psychological thing,
Psychologically, had it won already because I was thinking, not him again. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to remember, but I think I'd done a little bit better in the second time before. I think he was tired. Do you know what I mean? From the whole day we had. And then he beat me again. And I remember being obviously disappointed, but I remember thinking I won loads of fights, so that was really good. Do you know what I mean? And I got close enough to win, and then I thought, right, I'm going to definitely win the next time. Do you know? So that became a fascination. I was like, I have to beat him the next time. Do you know? Be better, be fairer, be better, you know. And I actually think the second tournament I ever did, I did win. Do you know what I mean? So, and when I won that one, fuck me, I was like walking around like bleeding. Oh man, I was like a world champion in my head. Do you know? The ego was rubbed, and I thought I was the best fighter of all time. You know, and I was only like 12 at the time. I was very young. But even around where I was from, I didn't even tell my mates I did martial arts because they just slag it. You know, martial arts wasn't cool when I was a kid, but in my head I was a champion. I'm at the winning. I'm at the, you know, I'm this big fucking.
Yeah, because you're going back to. What is that? Early 2000s, late 90s?
This would have been 2002,
yeah. So there was no such thing as MMA back then?
No, not MMA, but even martial arts wasn't cool. Do you know what I mean? What I was doing, you'd wear the shiny suit, you know, the shiny buttons and the shiny suit. It was kind of like nearly to do martial arts. Like boxing was cool, football was cool.
Yeah, of course.
You know, hanging around the streets was cool. Like, but martial arts was not cool, do you know what I mean? At all. So I didn't say that to anyone for years. Yeah. People started figuring out I did martial arts. They'd still be like, you do martial arts? You know what I mean? So, and then it's funny now because now it's the coolest thing ever. MMA is like the number one, you know, sport.
That's the way it goes, isn't it?
It's weird, man. So I've been doing this since literally before it was cool.
You set the trend, Kiefer. You set the trend. So you talked about the environment and how it was mostly negative, but you must have had some type of positive influences there to sort of spur you on, or do you remember coaches or influences there that gave you some type of affirmation or confirmation that, you know what, you can go all the way here? Or was it more just
funny enough in that gym? Not really. Like the lad that used to train me was a bully. Like, do you know what I mean? And I was very young. He was a lot older, but again, when you're young, you'd idolise your coach, you know what I mean? Just by default, he's the man, you're in black belt and he's this and that, and you just give him all the credit and stuff. But looking back now, he was a very manipulative bully of a man. He wasn't a good person. Even when I started working for him, he kind of really fucked me over, fucked everyone over. He was like a bad lad. He wasn't a good person at all. But he had a lot of issues, you know. But I didn't see that. I'm young. You're a kid. You don't see all that shit until you're a lot older, you know what I mean? But again, we had a bad fall now later on in life, but when I moved on from that, like finding MMA and stuff, your teammates and your friends, they become your biggest influence then, and they're all like-minded people. So for me, like obviously me environment, like my mom, my nanny and stuff, they were great role models for me growing up, but the teammates, you know, that I had, that was working me every day. I would just look forward to getting to the gym, having the buzz with the lads and being on the mats and training, and that was what really got me out of any bad headspace, you know what I mean? And anyone will tell you that has a good gym. It's about the camaraderie in the gym, it's about the buzz, it's about the, you know, you're training hard, but at the same time you're having fun while you're doing it, you're enjoying the environment of the gym. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny when you talk to any MMA for any boxer, they always say, "I train in the best gym in the world." They all say, and it's funny because like none of us train in the best gym in the world. We just associate this is the best gym in the world because in your mind you're thinking this is the best feeling I have. I love this gym, do you know, because you love the environment and your teammates in it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very fortunate that I had so many great teammates throughout my life, and would give them a lot of credit for moulding me to be the man I am. Do you know what I mean? Because again, we're all just grafting hard at what we love. We share the same passion. We love martial arts. You know what I mean? And all my closest mates are stone cold killers. They're all like high level world class fighters. You know what I mean? So I get to train with them every day and have fun with them. So it's that definitely moulded me to be the man I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for sure.
But then to move into that, then you have to leave behind the people that you know, and you have to walk away from the life that you've known, and to move towards a life that you want. And that's obviously, well, I would say that was quite a difficult transition.
It was definitely a difficult transition. I wish I'd done it earlier, to be honest, because looking back, I wasted so many years doing so many things just that I shouldn't have been doing. And I look back now, why did I waste from when I was a teenager till I was like mid-20s, like on that life, hanging around with these people like that? Literally, we're on the road to nowhere and I'm with them. Do you know what I mean? I'm in the passenger seat with them doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like for me, it was like, now I look back, I'm like, fuck man, I wasted a big chunk. I wish I got dedicated and disciplined more early on, and really like had a look around and evaluate people and said, right, who's good for me in my life, who's bad for me in my life, and then cut them out. You know, and that is a hard thing to do, and it's a mature decision. Now I do it all the time. Like I know early on whether I'm gonna continue on a friendship with someone very quick. Do you know what I mean? If you're good to me or bad to me, how you talk to me, how you're respecting people around me, I know very quick this is not gonna go further than today. Do you know what I mean? But back then, obviously, your friends, you're doing, you know, you're hanging around with people, you just take it all for granted. You don't really think about it too much. Before you know it, then years go by and you wasted a chunk of your life. Do you know what I mean? Like I would have done a lot of drinking and partying and going out and stuff when I was younger, and you're just sucked into it. You're just going out doing it. You're copying what they're doing.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm doing it, and they're doing it. We're all doing it. But then you look back and you're like, fuck, that was 10 years I'm at the waste. And I could have been in the gym. I could have been starting a business. I could have gone to college. You know, like I never went to college or finished school. And back then my mindset was, why would I go to college or school? That's stupid. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I remember thinking this, like, never go to college. Why would I go to college? Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna fight. You can do both though. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm 35 now, and I've always encouraged young fellas that are in the gym. You can have a side hustle as well. You can also go to college. You can also prioritize education as well as training twice a day every day. And if you say you can't, that's all in your head. You can. You can do it. There's enough hours in the day to do both.
Of course.
I realistically only train 4 to 5 hours a day. The rest of the day is free. The rest of the evenings are free. If training starts at 11 a.m., what are you doing at 7 a.m.? What are you doing at 7 a.m. till 10 a.m.? That's 3 hours. You know, you can. There's always. If you schedule it right, you can do it all. But back then, I never thought it. I thought that's for weak people doing that. Or getting a job. Why would I be getting a job? It's again a bad mindset to have. You know what I mean?
But then it's the mentality of the herd, isn't it? The mentality of the environment that you're in.
Literally, you know what I mean?
They're all in that mindset, and you become part of it until you maybe step out of it, and then you actually get to experience something different. Go, hang on a second, maybe I can do something with my life, and maybe I can achieve something great in my life. But then it probably, as I said, takes some positive experience or positive influences for you to eventually completely detach or walk away from that.
Yeah, no, it did. It definitely took too long. I wish, you know, back then I didn't have the good head on my shoulders to make them decisions, you know. But being around other fighters as well, and then when you get into being a professional fighter, it's very different. Like being an amateur boy, you know, amateur means it's a hobby. You know, I'm doing it as an amateur, you're not getting paid, you know, so it's hard to make money when you're an amateur fighter, when you're pursuing this career. Further down the line, you want to be a professional, whatever. Then you get into the pro ranks, you just think you're going to hit the money straight away. There's no money in professional MMA either. Even when you get to the UFC, there's no money until you start getting on in the UFC. People just think, oh, you signed to the UFC. It's the same as signing with the NBA or the Premier League football. It's not the same thing. You still get in there and you're still on a very shit contract until you prove yourself enough to get maybe a better contract. So people have this idea that they're just going to make it when they're professional. But again, you can do other things while being a professional. You know what I mean? And again, I didn't even have my head screwed on in the early days of being a professional. I was so engulfed in just, no, I'm going to make this work. I have a plan A, plan B. There's no such thing as plan B. And now I don't think like that, you know what I mean? You can have a plan A and be all in on plan A, but at the same time, you can also have a plan B. You're just not giving it all your time, you're giving it some time. You're tipping away at it, you know what I mean? Whether it's on the weekends or whether it's before training, after training. Back then it was all like tunnel vision, blinkers on, don't give a shit, making this work, you know what I mean? And that's just who I was. I kind of am like that as well. If I become fascinated with something and I'm going to be great at it, I'm going to be all in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's enough hours in the day to do other things as well, you know. But I learned that way later on in life, I suppose. But it was something I wish, basically put it this way, I have 3 kids. I'm teaching my kids to do that now. And I see it very different from different ways. Now, I never had anyone advising me growing up doing anything. No one's ever sent me down man to man and get me map out and do this and you should do that and talk to me like that. And I've never had like a role model as such like that to help me, which is now my kids do. And I fucked up and made all the mistakes. That's the only positive I can take from making all the mistakes is that, like, okay, thankfully they don't have to make them all now. Do you know what I mean? I've done it all.
That's the value of your experience, isn't it? That's the
100%.
value of you actually having gone down that road to then bring your kids down a different road where they're not going to, you know, suffer or struggle as you did. So it's almost as though you had to go through that in order to gain that experience to now bring it back to them. And that's, you know, that gives you a sense of purpose. Do you look back at those years though, that 10-year period, and is it still a regret?
Oh, 100%. You know, people love to say, oh, I have no regrets. I have fucking so many regrets. You know what I mean? I regret so much in my life. Jesus, yeah, like I do. And again, as I said, the biggest regret is that I could be sitting here multiple time world champion if I just locked in earlier. But I didn't lock in earlier. I locked in a lot later, you know? And it's like, if I just had the same mindset that I have today when I was 21, game over. I would have been a UFC world champion 100%. Because I know I had the mindset, the work ethic, the belief, I graft harder than anyone you could ever meet. I know I have all those things, but I just kind of left that a lot longer in life to really cop that on. And then before you know it, you're 35 and your body's broken down so much from the years of grafting that kind of wish I was locked in earlier on. But it is what it is. That's just life. That's the way the game goes. You know what I mean? Time.
So if you would go back to 18-year-old Kiefer, what would you tell him?
I'd be locking in. I'd be copping on. I'd be slapping me in the head saying, cop on, get to that gym, lock in, stay away from them. Don't be drinking, no drugs, no partying. Don't go anywhere near those people. Focus on these people. Get your head screwed on.
But then if you leave those people, then where do you go then though, isn't it? It's like you sort of leave yourself in a very lonely
there's always better
disposition,
people. You know, the world's a big place and, there's so many great people out there. You know what I mean? There really is. Like, there's so many good people. Like, I used to have this thing, like, I have no friends. You know what I mean? I'm locked into the gym. I don't need no friends. There is good people and I have great friends. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to realize that as well. And it's hard to explain because MMA is a weird one because it's a fight at the end of the day. It's not a team sport. It's a team training session. We're training with you. I have teammates. But on fight night, you're making that walking around. I can't pass the ball to someone in there. This is me and you. This is it now. And I'm in there doing this. And I've been on both sides. I've won fights and I've lost fights. I've won fights in devastating fashion. I've lost fights in devastating fashion. You know when you're going back to that locker room and you're going back to your hotel room, you're on your own there. With your own thoughts, and it's like, shit, man, I should have done more. I should have put the work in more. I should have, but there's so many things you should have, would have, could have done that, if you just get caught onto that now, it gives you a way more of a bigger advantage in the future.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it now. And again, even having people around you is a big impact. Who you're hanging around with, how you're talking to people, how they're talking to you. Do you know what I'm saying? They pulling you down or they bringing you up? Are they, do they want you to be successful, or are they kind of secretly psychologically damaging your mental health here a little bit? That's hampering your training. Like, these things are big, and we take it for granted. Even what you're looking at on your phone, it's like it's going in there. It's harming you in some way. Whether it's micro anxiety, you're looking at this shit and you're stressed about it, and all these things are real in real time. But you're maybe so conditioned to it, you're used to. Your friends joking with you and putting you down all the time, or are they serious? Or you just have the balls to say it, because I've been around world champions and I've been around people that don't want you to do well. And I'm telling you, the conversations are different. The energy is different. Your feeling is different. Even when you're training with people that are better than you and bringing you up, you train better. I've been in them environments where they bring the best out of you, So I would recommend staying around these people more than these people. If they're going to pull you back down and these are going to pull you up, always go to this side. You know what I'm
I
saying?
hear
And
you.
if you can find that tribe or that group of people, then always go to that side. Because they are out there. You just have to find them and you have to associate yourself with them. Do you know what I mean?
I
And
hear you.
I've never met a world champion that will put me down. I've never met a highly successful multimillionaire that's going to tell you, mate, this is not going to work out. They're always going to say, we'll work out 100%. Everyone told me it wasn't going to work out. Come this way. It's the people down here that have nothing going on. They want to say, mate, that's not going to work out. I don't know about that now. Don't think you'd get to the UFC. I don't think you'd be. Then now it's affecting you. Do you know?
Yeah,
And
of course.
if that's the case, you got to leave them be and move on. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way it is with me. You know, it's a bit mad way of thinking, but
No, I get
it's
it,
the way I
man.
think,
You've got to
you
be
know what I mean?
ruthless and you've got to be selfish.
Absolutely.
Then where was the point then when you made that switch or made that transition? Was there a moment, or was it over just a matter of time of you moving away and them fading into the distance? Or
I definitely started taking MMA a little bit more serious when I was like 25. I was fighting amateur. I was kind of winning some and losing some. Again, I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't dedicated enough. I was going out drinking all the time. I was drinking the night before fights. I was going out partying on sessions, and I wake up the next morning and have an MMA fight. Not the smartest thing to do, if I'm honest, and learned the hard way. And I remember I just got to a point where I was just getting sick of this. You know, and I was like, "What am I doing here? Am I all in or am I all out?" Because the thing at MMA is you're either all in or you're all out. If you're kind of half in, trust me, just leave. Just don't bother, because you're going to get hurt, you're going to get injured, and, you know, it's dangerous. You know what I mean? You're losing brain cells in there. This is not a football match. This is not tennis. This is like, mate, you are going to get hurt. You know, if this guy is locked in and he's out to kill you, but you're kind of half-arsed down it, you're going to find out the hard way under them bright lights real quick, you know, that, you know, you're either supposed to be here or not. And
you were finding that out though, weren't you?
I was finding,
because you were only
100%.
halfway in. Yeah.
100%. I remember one stage I went out the night before one of my amateur fights, and I was fighting this lad, man, and he was, I don't want to say he was on steroids, but I'm going to guess he was on steroids, yeah, because he was a big boy and he was really strong and he was aggressive as fuck. And
Kickboxing or MMA?
this is MMA, yeah. This is MMA. And this lad was a unit of a lad. And oh man, I hadn't even really slept much. I was in bits going into this fight. It was warming up. My heart rate was through the roof. And I was like, right, have to finish him in the first round. Have to finish him as quick as I can. Get in there, just take him down, choke him, because his grappling wasn't great, but I knew he was a really good boxer. And I was like, right, take him down, take his back, choke him really quick. So the cardio was not going to come into it. That was my plan. And I did. Took him down, took his back. And it was all going perfect. So right, I had the choke locked on. And there was like maybe 40 seconds left. And I mean, when I say I put everything into that choke, I squeezed for my life. And he was gargling. And I was like, he's going to tap. And the bell went. And as the bell went, my whole body just gave up right there and then, to the point where I could barely stand up. And I walked back to the corner and I was like sitting on the bench. And I mean, when I say my body stopped working, my hands stopped working, I couldn't lift my arms up. And I think it was James Gallagher, and I was just like, man, bollocks, I'm fucked. And I was like saying all these things, and he's like, no, it's all in your head. And I was like, no, like I'm fucking done here, you know. And then I went into the second round, and I was trying to like, all right, come on, we got to fight. I got finished in the second round really badly, and I remember just being on the road. It was actually in Letterkenny, so I had to drive all the way back down to Dublin that night, and I was sitting there just going, right, never do that again. You know, it was a long drive. But after that, I was like, yep, I got a cop on. This is not, I'm either in or I'm out. And I went all in, I think, from there on in. Had a couple of decent amateur fights after that, and then just turned pro. And when I turned pro, I really locked in. I was like, right, I'm going to make a run for this UFC 100%, because I know I have the skills. I just didn't have the work ethic. Okay. You know, I knew I could fight. I knew I was willing to fight. I knew I wasn't afraid of a fight. So that's half the battle. The other half now is becoming a better athlete and just being dedicated to the gym. You know what I mean? Which I was kind of half dedicated to the gym. Yeah. And then I was out doing stupid shit. So I was like, right, cut all that out and just be fully dedicated now. And then, then I went pro, and then I went on a right run. You know, I got to I think I won 10 or 11 professional fights in a row. I had one DQ in the middle, but I never count that as a loss. So that was because I knocked the guy out. It was just by his knee was on the ground. But I think I went on an 11-fight win streak. So I got really locked in then, and but in my head, my whole mindset was I'm gonna get to the UFC 100%, because I knew what it took to get to the UFC. I've trained with UFC for so much, I've seen it, I knew it could happen. Do you know what I mean? And then it was just a matter of putting the work in, showing up every day. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was around that point I think I got fully locked in. You know what I mean?
When did the UFC come into consideration for you? Was it after a few victories of being a pro, or was it turning pro?
The UFC was in my mind since I was about 15 years of age that I'm going to fight in the UFC someday. Going back to the kickboxing days, I remember watching the UFC on Bravo back in the day, and again, not a lot of people knew what the UFC was. Like, they were like, "Oh, is this shit?" Like, you know, I was like, "Oh, it's the UFC, Chuck Liddell, you know, Tito Ortiz, these type of people, Randy Couture." You know, I was telling people, and people were like, "This isn't even real. This is like wrestling." I was like, "No, I'm telling you, this is like fighting. You know, no holds barred." And I was like, "I could do that. I could fight in that. I'd love to do that with them little gloves and stuff." You know, and people, you'd be looking at me like, "Are you actually off your head?" And I was like, "No, man, I'd be great in there. Like, the gloves are little. There's no shin pads." And so it was in my mind since back then that I would love to compete in it, you know. And I done a seminar with a guy called Ian Freeman. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ian Freeman. He's the first ever Englishman to win in the UFC. Be Frank Mir. Back in the day, I forget what year it was, but Ian the Machine Freeman's from Newcastle, and I done a seminar in Dublin with him. And he asked me, my goal was to fight MMA eventually. And he says, "Do you want to fight Michelle March?" And I says, "Yeah," like ignorant, didn't think anything of it. And he says, "All right, cool, done." So I was like, cool. So again, didn't think anything of it. And then fast forward a couple months later, he's like, "Yeah, you're still on for March?" And I was like, "Yeah, like MMA." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right." And it literally just happened real quick like this. So I just took the fight, won the fight, and that was it then. I was hooked, man. I was like, once I started training for that and I won, I was like, that is it. This is all
What age
I
were you
wanna
there?
do. 20.
Oh, yeah. So that was...
Or 19, I think it was, yeah.
That was a turning point?
Oh, man, that was it. I was done. Because I was doing a lot of kickboxing at the time. I fought in the World Championships and I lost. Came second in the World Championships, or third in the World Championships, and that broke my heart. And I was like, I'm done with this kickboxing stuff. The politics and it was too much. You'd win a fight, you'd dominate a fight, but you'd lose. You know, it was this type of shit. You know what I mean? So I just fell in love with MMA because you could finish people a lot easier. You could get an armbar, or choke, or whatever. You know, so I fell in love with that idea. So yeah, man, that was it. Then that was it. I was hooked.
And then what was it like then? I'm sure you received a lot of pushback when you started making these changes, and the old environment or the old people trying to pull you back. And how'd you deal with that?
Yeah, kind of. It's funny because even when I did that MMA fight, I had a videotape of my fight. This is going back to like the I sound like an outfit saying all this, but pre-Instagram or...
You're younger than me, man, so you're all right. Yeah.
But I remember having a video and people are coming over to my house to watch the video. My friends would come over to my house and like we'd sit down and watch my fight, and then we'd go out to a nightclub that night and we'd be all telling everyone about, he fought in a cage, like he's a cage fighter, like, you know what I mean? And it's cringy to even say that, but that's how far back I'm doing this, you know what I mean? But again, that was what I wanted to do. Even though it was chaotic and I was mad, and you know, it is a cage fight at the end of the day, no matter what way we look at it, and it is a crazy thing to do. But for me, it's like, you know, no combat sport compares to it, because, you know, mixed martial arts at the highest level dominates all. You know, there's no other combat athlete on the planet that could hang with the highest level MMA fighter in the world. Don't care how good you are. It's
a fact. Yeah.
It's impossible. You know, if two people are getting locked into the room, the guy that is highly skilled in MMA is always going to win that fight. No matter how good you are, any other martial art or boxing or whatever, the MMA fighter will always win because he has all boxes ticked. And it, you know, unless you've done it at the highest level, you'll never understand it. Like, it's just a different thing. You know, as good as you think you are, there's always someone that could fling you around, and it's. I've been there. I've trained at the best of them, and it's a scary feeling. It's just what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Thomas Carty would disagree, though, would he?
No, I won't doubt him on this podcast. Yeah,
all good.
So he gets a pass this time.
Yeah, all good. He's doing great himself. And so then, is there something that switches when you're in that environment? When you're heading towards that cage or heading into that fight? And is it the same type of switch that you feel would have turned on whenever you've been on a street fight before, as a kid or as a teenager? Is it still that same energy, that same switch that turns on when you're stepping into a cage?
A little bit, like a little bit. Like, obviously back in the day, I would have been a lot more, say, aggressive going into fights. Yeah. Even though it appears like I'm very aggressive, I call it hyper focused. You know, people say, "You're mad, you're aggressive." It's like, not that necessarily I'm that aggressive. It's that I'm just super focused. Which is, back in the day, I would have been more hyper with my emotions. Which is, emotions can kind of hamper your performance a bit in a fight because they burn a lot of energy and they make you tired. And you're probably thinking about the wrong things rather than focusing on the technique. Technique and skills win fights, and your engine backs it up, which is like your emotions don't really come into it that much. In fact, like most people that get super emotional tend to lose fights because they make bad decisions, you know, and that's historically, if you look at Muhammad Ali back in the day, he used to get people so emotional that they would go in with a terrible game plan and he would just talk shit to them the whole time and jab the head off them. And they'd start swinging, and then before you know it, they're getting hit more. And then they look back and go, oh, I got really emotional. I got really pissed off at him in that fight because he was talking about my mama and doing all this. And it's like, yeah, because you weren't thinking about boxing. You were thinking about hurting the guy. Yeah. Because you got emotional. So
strategy goes out the window. It's almost like a survival instinct.
Literally, you're forgetting this is a sport.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I'm just going to hurt this guy. But sure, he's not thinking about hurting you. He's thinking about beating you. Yeah. And there's a difference there. You know what I mean? So I try not to get too emotional. You know, or if any at all emotional, I'm actually completely emotionless normally going into a fight. You know, but it's a hard thing to control because it's an emotional thing. You know, it's a fight for your life in there, and this next fight could change your whole family's life, and you have all these things going on, and everything, every feeling and emotion you have, it's hyper, like it's up to the max on fight night. You know.
So how do you deal with that? Is there
you just got to control
conversation with yourself? Or?
Yeah, always. You know what I mean, and the preparation. You know what I mean, it's. On fight night, it's too late. If you haven't trained, if you haven't prepared, you're wasting your time here. You can talk to yourself all you want, but you're lying because you didn't put the work in. You're gonna find out really quick when you're walking into that cage. Oh shit! I should have really put the work in. Like that night, and I lost going into that fight. That's an example of he put the work in. I acted the bollocks. I paid the price for it. That's how fighting works here. You know what I'm saying? And at the highest level in the UFC, you got two world-class athletes now, both putting the work in, both super focused. That's why the fights are so exciting. Because these guys are like, oh shit, this is the highest level you can ever reach. And this is what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? Which is on the lower levels, you kind of see, it's like the journeyman thing in boxing. You know, you see the boxer coming up and he's fighting a journey. You can see the difference straight away. As soon as the round starts, you're like, he's going to win. You know it. It's right. MMA at the highest level, no one knows. Nobody knows. You could think, he's definitely going to win. You never know though, because anything can happen in there. In them
very fine margins.
Oh man, especially at the highest level. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially with them little gloves, one clip and you know, it could be very different. You know, one mistake. You know, you turn your back for 1 second. That's it. You know, and the guy capitalizing. So that's why MMA at the highest level to me is the hardest sport in the world because it's literally a fight for your life in there. You know, and the referee's there to make sure you're going to get out alive. You know, he's going to pull someone off you and stop the fight if it goes too far.
Of course.
Because how many times have you seen a fight that if the referee wasn't there, Jesus Christ, you're not going to be alive anymore. You're gone. You know what I mean? So, but man, MMA.
You have to push it to that extreme to win the fight, though, isn't it?
Oh,
you have to push it to almost
literally death. Yeah, man. I've been there. You know, I've been there on both sides, and again, it takes a very special type of person to be a high level MMA fighter, and that's what I will say. You know, I've trained with a lot of world class fighters, and they are a different type of people. You know, I've trained with a lot of athletes and boxers and stuff, but high level MMA fighters, different people. You know, honestly, in terms of even competitiveness, fuck me, like they want to eat a meal faster than you do. They want to beat you at everything. It's like Jesus, man.
Yeah, okay,
it's heavy going. You know what I mean? Including myself. Like I'm a heavy competitor as well, but
of course,
sometimes you kind of go relax a little bit.
Maybe just enjoy this meal a little bit more now. Yeah,
basically,
Today's podcast has been sponsored by Full Circle Roasters. Today I am testing out their new blend from Colombia. Absolutely delicious. Full Circle are always delivering the goods. And to check out this blend and their wide range of selection in coffees, click the link below and thank me later. But then you get to the top. You get to UFC.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was surreal. Like obviously, it's been a long time coming.
You had a bit of a raw deal, didn't you? Because you had a very quick preparation for the first fight.
Well, I had no preparation. Basically, I was going through a bit of a bad stint at that point, and then we were back and forth for months. Me and my manager, and I was like, "Am I getting here, or what's going on?" No one knew what was going on. And he was like, "Look, I don't know. There's a new thing called the Contender Series." Which is basically like a Tuesday night fight night. You get 2 5-minute rounds and you prove yourself in front of Dana White or whatever. And I was like, can I get onto this then? Not that I wanted to do it, but because you don't get paid for it, apparently. You just go in, you fight. I think you get like $5,000 or something.
It's maybe a step forward to the main event of the UFC itself, is it?
Probably. Yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
There's no money in this game, but I was like, am I doing this or what? And he's like, I don't know. They have the roster filled, so maybe not. So I kind of lost heart. I was like, fuck's sake, I don't know what to do here, whether I'm going to box or I'm going to do MMA or.
Was this the time you were going through an injury, or you were just not fighting at the time, or you're just
so right
in a bit of a
before
limbo?
my debut, I was going through a bit of an injury after the boxing fight, to the point where I'm going to stop wrestling and grappling for a few weeks because I wanted to let my body heal.
Yeah.
And then I get a phone call and it's like, here, welcome to the UFC. You're up in 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, what? And then I was like, wasn't expecting this at all. Oh, it's in Australia. Oh, it's at welterweight. And I was just like, fuck, man. I'm like 93 kilos at the minute. Welterweight's 77 kilos. So it's like a big stint. And I'm like, all right, let's do it then, you know. But I'm not going to say no. Of course, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. But again, it was like, right, zero preparation.
Cutting that weight in 2 weeks?
The weight cut was a big factor here, yeah, because that was the main thing. I was like, can I make the weight? Yeah, but is it going to be easy? No, it's going to require all this next 2 weeks is just about the weight cut now. So you're not really preparing for a fight as such.
Yeah, okay.
You're really kind of just getting the weight down. Like I was hitting pads and we were grappling, we were messing around, we were doing all as much as we could, but everything was geared around dropping the calories drastically, up in the cardio, saunas every day. It was a lot of like, right, you know, and the time flip. So I was in Dublin. Now you're fighting in Australia. It's complete opposite time zones. So I had to fly over like quickly and get adjusted to the heat, get adjusted to the fucking time zone. It was a lot, you know. That's stress on the body, and that holds on the water. And there's a lot more involved in that, even that process, than you think. You know what I mean? For getting the weight down. The weight cut was rough, man. Yeah, it was a rough cut. Probably one of the hardest cuts in my life. Now, made it was fine, but Jesus, it was a hard cut, man.
Yeah,
it was a hard one, you know.
And then then you finally have your shot in the UFC, and obviously you don't want to turn that down, but to not turn it down, you have to go through this incredible extreme process to get to that point where you're probably depleted of energy and it's going to affect your performance. Or do you look at that, or you don't look at that?
Well, I've done a million weight cuts, right? I've done a lot of weight cuts, and I've got down to lightweight before, 70 kilos, right? So I've cut heavy amounts of weight, but there is a difference between being prepared for a weight cut and not being prepared for a weight cut. So you kind of prime your body, get lean, build your muscle mass. Water comes on muscle a lot easier than fat, you know what I mean? The leaner you are, the easier it is to drop the weight. So for me, I wasn't lean at the time, so that was going to be a factor. I was like, you can't fake being lean. You know, you're either lean or you're not lean. You've either increased your muscle mass over the past few months, or you haven't. Yeah, in 2 weeks, you can't do that. You know what I mean? So it was like, right, reduce the calories drastically, ramp up the long like walks and jogs and stuff to burn the calories, and like, you know, heat acclimation training every day. Get the water out and just rinse and repeat that every day. And it ended up being just a heavy sauna stints at the end. I think I cut like 8 kilos, you know, in a day. Like, do you know what I mean? Because maybe even more, to be honest. Maybe 9 kilos, yeah. Which, again, I've done 9 kilos the night before, but I'm lean and I'm very muscular and the water's flooding out of me. Got to the point of that weight cut where I just stopped sweating. I'm sitting in the sauna for an hour and I'm like, why am I sweating? Because your body gives up. It goes so stressed. Goes into survival mode and it refuses to lose more water. So when that happens, you're sitting there, you know. So
what was that doing to your mindset?
I just knew I had to stay in it, you know, because I was like, right, I'm dying this bleeding sauna if I have to, come on, you know, and then get back on the bike, because you also burn glycogen as well. And you're trying to get rid of that as well. You're trying to get rid of everything. Yeah, buddy. I was at the point where I was like, well, I just shaved my head, will I shave my arms, will I shave, what can I chop my arm off? Like, you get to that level, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you made the cut and then...
Made the cut. That was actually, got there and I was like, right, once you make the cut, you don't even give a shit about the fight. I was like, I made the weight cut, thank God. I made weight, because I've never missed weight in my whole career. That's another thing fighters never get credit for, is that, like, I've never once missed weight ever. No matter if it's short notice, lightweight, I've never ever gone on the scales and I'm overweight and the fight's jeopardized because of my unprofessionalism. I've always made weight, 100%. That was definitely the hardest weight cut, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
That one and the lightweight one was two really tough ones, but that one, given the circumstances, was very tough. And then I'm fighting a monster, a guy that, like, was Israel Adesanya's main sparring partner for the Strickland fight. Very, very good fighter, Kevin Chasin, and he's a big boy. He cut a lot of weight as well. I actually seen him in the sauna and he was dying. So that kind of lifted my spirits, because I seen him, he was actually in bits. But he was in really good shape. He was shredded. And I was like, yeah, he's in bits. But he had a whole camp. He was the main sparring partner for the entire camp. And he knew he was fighting that night. I didn't. So his opponent pulled out and I got slotted
Yeah, I
in.
get
That's
you.
what happened. So he
Yeah.
had a lot of prep. I had no prep. And ironically enough, of the 3 fights I had in the UFC, that was my best fight.
Yeah.
I was winning the entire round. If you watch the fight, I watched the
Yeah.
fight 100 times. I won every second of that round, bar the end of it when he finished me. And I was like, fuck. So I actually performed pretty good for someone who was, depleted and no notice.
So then to go through that enduring process and to finally have experienced your dream of being in the UFC and then to not get the victory after performing so well.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah,
That must have stung.
I was rough. Yeah, it was rough because the 2 weeks previous was like, when you announced I got to the UFC and like, it was blown up. It was such a big deal. Do you know what I mean? For me, my family, everyone. Was fucking. There was a street party going on from the area. It was crazy. The whole thing was nuts, and it couldn't have been going better. It was literally going as perfect as you could possibly write until the loss. And when that happened, it's like can't even explain it. It was like, it's impossible to explain. Because again, now I'm sitting here going, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Life is short. It's only a sport. It's a very small part of our lives. But I'm such a competitor and I'm such a passionate fighter that when you do lose, it's like your life is over in that moment. You're just like, I can't think straight. I can't, it took me a long time to get over it because it took me 18 years to get to the UFC. So obviously losing that was like worst case scenario. Do you know what I mean? But now it's like, look, there's so many people out there that like have hard lives. I lost the fight, get over it. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of have to shrug your shoulders and move on. But in that moment, I hit the floor big time. You know what I mean?
What was that like?
It was just horrible. Yeah, it was shit. Like it was really, really shit. And it was just a realization of like the UFC. It's funny, man, because you're out of the cage, you're backstage. They have a quick look at you. They walk you out the emergency exit. You're in a car, and you're in the car like no top on, no shoes on, blood still on your face, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, it's not like you can get changed or, they take care of you and stuff. You're literally just get out the door, see you later, And before you know, you're back in your hotel room. I'm my gum shield in. I'm just sitting there going, how? It seems so surreal. What the fuck just happened here? Hold on a minute. Am I supposed to have a shower in the venue? Like, you know what I mean? You're really treated like just, we say that, go on, fuck off.
Just a number.
Over here,
yeah.
And that happened like 3 times in a row. And it was like, fucking hell, we really are just a number here. This is like...
That's fucking vinegar in the fucking moon, isn't it, man?
Heavy.
Greater sting. There's no one backstage.
And you're
say,
still
hey,
trying
man.
to process the loss. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You're like, because you're a fighter, you're going through what happened, what did I do? You're going through all this shit and it's like, okay, this...
Were you in Australia on your own? Did you bring your family with you? Or?
No, I had me 2 boys, Cian Cowley and Lee Hammond. They're my 2 teammates, and then my other coach, Jimmy Upton. Okay. He's my long-term boxing coach.
So you did a sport there.
The 3 lads were there with me, thank God, do you know what I mean? And then they travelled all the way over me, and they were there with me, and we went back to the hotel. And the weird thing about that fight was, actually, the weirdest part about it was, that fight was at 8 a.m. in the morning for me. Because it was pay-per-view for the Americans and for the Europeans or whatever.
Okay.
So I actually was walking to the cage at 8 in the morning and I was in the venue at 5 in the morning and I didn't sleep the night before because it was fight, the night before a fight and all that. So when I lost that fight, I was back in the taxi at like 8:15 a.m. or something and I'm back in my hotel room for breakfast. So I'm like, normally after a fight, it'd go out in the night. It's nighttime. Do you know? I'm waiting. The sun is literally beaming out. It's in the morning time. So I went down to the buffet. I'm sitting there at breakfast time. Everyone's getting ready to go to work. I had just had a UFC fight. Even that was a weird one. I'm sitting there looking at me coach Jimmy and we're just talking. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing ever, man. It's 8 in the fucking morning here. The day hasn't even started yet. And I'm after just having my UFC debut. It wasn't like none of it was making sense to me.
It's too overwhelming.
You know what I mean? It was a mad feeling. Like the whole thing was just bizarre. But look, it is what it is.
So you're on the floor. How'd you get back up?
Yeah, it took a long time to get back up from that one. I tell you, because that fucked me up. Because that was like my whole dream shattered in an instant. You know what I mean?
Did you? Would you say you slid that time in terms of sliding into
heavily,
drink or?
Heavily slid. Yeah, heavily slid into a deep depression. Yeah.
You did.
Which was it was a shit one, to be honest. Yeah, that was a really bad one. Slid.
It's the first time.
No, not the first time. Definitely, like, not the first time. This is the worst time for sure. Like, it was like my whole life just came crashing down. And it's weird because, like, after people talk about this all the time. In fact, Courtad talked about this the other day when we were doing a talk about when he lost one of his fights. He walked into a shop and he seen an old woman. He was thinking in his head, she knows I lost the fight, And he went on to talking about, fighters have this idea that everyone knows. Oh, yeah, everyone knows I'm at the losing. for me coming back to Dublin, it was like everyone did fucking know, because like I'm after being plastered everywhere for the past 2 weeks. I'm the new UFC guy from Ireland. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, Kiefer's in the and then you lose. And you pick up your phone and you were just getting rinsed out on the phone. And it's like, whoa, it's the first time I've ever had backlash in my whole career. Like, my whole career is normally 90% love and a bit, a little bit of hate, whatever. This time was the flip, man. It was like, holy shit, I couldn't get away from it. And I never thought, like, it didn't bother me as such, but it was like, fucking hell, this is weird. Like, I've never had this before, Everywhere I went, getting stopped. And now people are saying nice things, but that even became overwhelming. Like, too many people talking to me, and I was just like, it was just too much, you know what I mean, to handle, no matter where I was going. People just talking to me the whole time about the fight and about the UFC and about, it was just so much, like, how the fuck does so many people know
you're trying to get away from or move forward from that experience, but then these people pull you back when they start speaking about it or ask you about it or check in with you.
Basically, it's a lot. Like, it's energy consuming, because you're like, and I'm trying to be nice to everyone, but it's a lot, you know what I mean? So that was a hard
inside you're fucking dying.
Heavy, like, oh man, heavy going, do you know what I mean? And a fighter just wants to just get on with things and get to the gym again, fix your mistakes, train, get back in a good headspace, move on.
That's a whole different fight, isn't it?
That's a different fight in itself. Yeah, even getting back to the gym's a hard one. Like, I've lost fights and I'm back in the gym on the Monday morning. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's the type of fighter you have to be in this game, because I mean, it's a roll of the dice every time. Like, you're gonna do your best, but the margins are so fine. Like, you could lose, and if you lose, you got to go, right, well, how did I lose? Or I got choked, right? Well, have you been grappling much? Have you been doing this much? Are you, sometimes you are grappling a lot and you're high level. I'm a high level grappler, and then the internet will say, geez, you're a shit grappler because you've been submitted. So yeah, but the highest level, it's almost like Ronaldo scoring a goal on you in the Premier League and saying, you're not really a good goalkeeper. So, mate, no, I am a good goalkeeper. He's also very good. It doesn't go like that. In MMA, it's the same thing. You lose, people go, geez, you're not that good, are you? It's like, mate, do you even understand how high level people are in there? You know what I mean?
Was it the way you lost as well, though? Like, I mean,
I don't think so. No, the way I lost.
So, like, for example, let's take, if you went in there in the first round and you tapped out, would that have been a bit less painful or sting a bit less?
That is what
almost
happened.
going.
That is what happened. So I did get tapped down the first round. So again, me being the martial artist I am, and again, it's always relaying in my head, is that the fight was going so well. There was 30 seconds left. We were against the fence, and I went for a thing. It's called an uchimate, which is a judo throw. The judo throw is like an overhook, and I have actually a really decent judo throw. The guy I was fighting was a Commonwealth judo champion for the French team or something. High level, he's on the Olympic judo team. So my ego in that moment got the better of me, and I thought, watch this, I'm going to judo throw the judo guy. And it's going to catch everyone by surprise. It's a feather in my cap. Again, it's my ego talking to me in the moment. Okay. So I went to judo throw him, and of course, him being so skilled and prepared to block a judo throw, blocked it perfect. Countered, didn't actually take me down, went to take me down. I put my hands on the mat. Rookie mistake, and then he jumped me back and went straight for the choke. And there's 15 seconds left. It wasn't a lot of time left, and he got a deep choke, and it was really tight, beautiful, and then I tapped. And it was in that moment I thought, what the fuck did I do a judo throw for? Why didn't I just stay on the fence? I'm really good on the fence. I'm actually better on the fence than I am as a judo throw. But in the moment, I thought, watch this. I'm gonna catch him by surprise here. Do you know what I mean? And I took a chance, and it didn't pay off. And that haunted me more than anything else, because it was like, Kiefer, you're better than that now. That was a rookie mistake. That was an ego move, where I should have just said, just 30 seconds, right? Get the heart rate down, get him in the second. That would have been a veteran move.
Yeah, I get you.
And I would never have a fight in the future where I would do that again. But it's too late, because you lost that one. You know
so you're looking at it going, I didn't give that my best?
I just made a crucial error in that moment where I know I'm better than that.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And anyone that's trained with me knows I'm better than that. But again, it's the UFC. Yeah. I want to show off a little bit. I want to make an impression now. Oh, he's a judo guy. Well, watch this. I'm going to judo throw the judo guy. That's what people think. It's like, a famous John Jones, one of the best fighter of all time, realistically. He always tries to beat them at their game. Right, he will fight like a Glover Teixeira, who's like one of the scariest boxers in the UFC. Instead of just taking him down, he's going to outbox him. He'll try and I'm going to beat him at his game because I'm that good. It's kind of an ego move, but he tries to prove a point to be like, yeah, you're the boxer, well, I'm going to outbox you. It's, it can get you killed in there now, it can get you hurt.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
After you win it, people go, fucking hell, you are crazy for doing that. Fair play to you. In that moment, I thought, I'm going to judo throw him. People are going to go, that's more impressive. You know, the commentators will respect the fact that I got a judo throw. Didn't really work out that well. So, but that killed me more than just losing the fight. I was making that little error, you know, and as a fighter, and anyone that's a high level fighter will understand what I'm talking about when I say that. We make little detail, like mistakes that it could be something so simple, you know, trying a flashy move or maybe trying to spin and kick.
Split second, isn't it?
That little decision, you're like, man, you should have just kept it simple. You should have just not done that. You know what I mean? Then
what was the path of recovery like after that? I mean, you're down this slippery slope, but eventually you start heading back up the mountain again. So what did that look like?
Yeah, the slippery slope was fucking slippy for a good few months, to be honest. It was all over the place. For a good few months, to be honest, and then it wasn't until the next year.
Okay, it was a year later.
Yeah, it was the next year, to be honest with you. Dublin just wasn't working in Dublin for me. Couldn't get to the gym. The gym just, you know, the gym I was in at the time just wasn't working out the way I used to be in the gym. Everything had changed. It's like that was going downhill in itself. It just wasn't the same environment. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna go somewhere and train, do a stint, and fall in love with the game again, fall in love with martial arts again, because I was kind of I lost heart from it almost. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, you get paid shit in the UFC, you're lost, your whole world is collapsing. So you're like, right, I'm losing the love for the game. So I went to Thailand for 5 weeks, and because Thailand's a really good place for, you know, for your head. People are nice. Yeah. You know, it's just a nice, peaceful place. The training is really good. So I was like, I'll go over here, do a stint, do a hard training camp. And within a week, I was like, I'm back. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this place is just so good for the mind. Like the people, the training partners, the coaches, it was such a good place.
And you got away from that environment where you just had all these reminders.
I went over there and I
people.
locked in. I got a hotel on my own. I was from the gym back to the house, That was 6 days a week. And then Sundays was like an active recovery day in Thailand where you're walking, you're doing like 30,000, 40,000 steps a day, walking around the heat. You know, it was like a nice place for the head. It got me right back in a good frame of mind. And actually, when I was over there, I got offered a fight in the UFC, and I said, "Yeah, let's go." Boom, and I took it, and so that was really good. And came back, done a small stint there, and then before my second fight, I was wrestling in the gym 3 weeks before the fight, and I dislocated my shoulder. And I'm telling you, man, you couldn't. Yeah, that was just like one of those things. That was like, it was going so well. I was in such good shape, good headspace. I'm wrestling, bang, my shoulder and my bicep. My shoulder dislocated, my bicep tore. And I'm like, fuck, you know, I'm literally on the ground just thinking, right, how do I patch this up? Because I knew I still wanted to fight somehow. And I went and got an MRI, and it was worse than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know if it was what it was, but I knew it was damaged. I knew it was really, because I couldn't lift my arm.
Tearing the bicep's pretty severe.
Man, the shoulder was worse, to be honest with you, because I tore the long head on the bicep. It wasn't a full detachment, it was a tear. Okay. And then the shoulder was completely dislocated, and the labrum was completely tore. So when I done that, I said to the UFC, I didn't want to pull out. I just sent them the MRI results. I said, listen, I'm at the injury in my shoulder, but I still am willing to fight. I thought they'd say, listen, don't be ridiculous. You're not going to fight. We'll reschedule it. Don't worry about it. We'll give you another shot. They were like, cool, no worries. See you in 3 weeks. So I was like,
don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. So I was like, oh shit. So I have to take this fight now. So I got a few injections. They okayed it. They paid for all the injections. Like I got like a few cortisone injections, a PRP injection. I put everything in there as best I could. But when I'm telling you, man, I could barely do this. Like I lift my arm up 3 weeks before a big fight. I couldn't do them things. So I went in with one arm basically in that one. So that was a hard one as well, you know. But again, these are the things people, they look at you in there and they go, yeah, man, you didn't look good tonight. I'm like, I know, because I had a fucking dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, you don't know the story.
And I'm trying to like be positive about it, but at the same time, it's like you can be as positive as you want. If you have one arm, you have one arm. One arm in a fight is no joke, you know. So
I've had conversations with a few fighters now before, and you know, I would ask them about the preparation on fight day and where your head's at, and are you ever going into that ring with doubt or with the potential consequence of losing? So, no, we can't afford to go into the ring with that mindset. It's only the mindset of winning. So how do you manage that when you've only got one arm?
Because I was thinking I'm going to knock him out with my right arm. I convinced myself, you know, and that's the thing. It's delusion. And again, it's only delusion until it works. And I'm thinking, right, this is the way the story's going to go. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to move, and he's going to charge me, and I'm going to overhand right him, and I'm going to knock him out, and the post-fight speech is going to be, I went in here with one arm, and everyone's going to go, oh, you're a legend. And because again, you have to be visual in your mind.
That brings your energy up too.
You're visualizing it all day, every day. That's all fighting is. It's in your head. You're living in your own head of like, this is the way it's going to go. And you're when I say you're convincing yourself that that's how it's going to go, you are so warped into believing in it that this is the way it's going to go. And then when it doesn't go that way, that's what kills us so much.
Because he has his own plan.
So we really thought it was going to go that way. I genuinely thought, fuck this arm. I don't need this arm. I don't need this. I can beat him with one arm. Yeah, because you're convincing yourself you can do that. And then, but again, the lad that beat me that night, Sam Patterson, he's actually fighting MVP in his next fight, which is a huge fight. Sam's on like an 18-fight win streak, by the way, as well. He's a very high-level fighter. Again, they're talking about another high-level lad that I think he's on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC, 4 finishes in the first round. High-level lad, 6'5" as well, by the way. So it was no easy task to begin with. Where he's a big boy.
Not an easy task to try and punch that.
Oh my God! And he was even taller in person. I remember looking at him, going, "Fucking hell, he's tall. He is really tall." Yeah, I'm not even the tallest lad. Like I'm only like 5'11", but he's big. Yeah. But again, I convinced myself I'll win with one arm. I will win with one arm somehow. And then he done a good job, and that's the way it goes. But that's the fight game for you, man. You know,
did that sting more or less than the first time?
Oh, it was very similar, to be honest, man.
Very similar?
Probably worse the first time, if I'm honest. And the second time, it was like, here we are again. It was like a rinse and repeat job. Backstage, quick look, back out the back door, into the taxi, back. It was, again, same sort of thing. And I was thinking, it was deja vu. I remember being back in the hotel room, just being like, this is fucking the same thing. I can't believe I'm looking at these 4 walls. I'm sitting here, no top on me, cup still on, gum shield still in. And I was kind of laughing. I was like, this is mental that people don't see this. This is crazy. If I could document this part, I should have done, but wasn't in the right headspace. It was funny, you know.
We'll put it out there in the podcast.
Yeah. But
Dana White may pick it
people
up.
actually seen that in real time, they wouldn't believe it. Like, you had to just lose in a fight, right? Go on, out the back door, out the exit there.
What's it like before the fight? How long do you have in the locker room and all that before the fight?
The thing about the UFC is it's a well-oiled machine. Like I've fought in a lot of other big promotions and stuff, and it is the best of the best. I will give them that. Like, unbelievable clockwork. If they say it's at 9 a.m, it's at 9 a.m. There's no messing around. There's no like, oh, you get there at 9 and then you're waiting an hour. No, there's none of that. Kiefer, you're walking at 8 p.m, you're walking at 8 p.m. It's on the dot, like, and they're very, very good at that. I will give them that. Like, everything is so perfect. And they wouldn't leave you in the locker room for too long. It'd be like, if your fight is at 8 p.m, you'll be there at 6 p.m. So it's like 2 hours. So it gives you time to get in, get settled in, wrap the hands, loosen out, you know what I mean, warm up a little bit, and then walk to fight.
And the energy and the atmosphere in the locker room behind the scenes is
very
cool.
good. Yeah, I liked it. To be fair, like, and the 3 times I fought with the UFC, I have no complaints with that. Like, even
that's the post-fight part.
Yeah, the post-fight part, but obviously losing is always shit. I don't know what it's like for the winners, and they probably get treated a bit different. I don't know, but yeah, but losing it's pretty shit. Yeah, but losing shit anyway. You know what I mean? No matter what the atmosphere is,
it doesn't matter where you go, man.
But you nearly imagine you could process it a bit and get changed, have a shower. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, talk to a counsellor.
Something. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad show. That wouldn't be a bad show. Yeah.
But then you go again.
Yeah, I went again, China. Yeah, man, and they're crazy.
I was following that one actually.
Yeah, and the China one was crazy.
I seen how that ended, and that was pretty harsh. That was. Well, it was physically painful, but it seemed like that was an emotional.
Yeah, it was just like shit, you know. Again, it's funny because my whole life I've been trying to get to the UFC, you know what I mean? And it's been the dream, it's been the vision, it's been the goal, it's been, you know, been in my head, like, I'm going to get there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to climb the ranks and I'm going to be a big name and I'm going to be a world champion. And like, you genuinely have to believe in all these things. If you want to get to the UFC and you don't think you're going to be a world champion, then don't try and get to the UFC, because there's no point. As I said, you have to have that delusional optimism. You have to be so crazy to believe it's going to happen that when it does happen, you go, see, I told you this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But you have to genuinely believe it. If you're kind of like, I don't think I'll ever like do well in it, but I'll try, you walk away, do something else. Because these lads in here are no joke. Like, this is a real sport. Like, you know, it's a real fight. You know, you're going to get hurt. So for me, losing that one then was like, right. And I was surprised because when I lost MTO, I thought they're definitely going to cut me, but they definitely respected the fact that I fought with one arm. And I know that they said that, you know, they said, like, in fairness to him, like, he didn't want to pull out. And I know they respected and honoured me another fight.
Okay.
So they did respect the fact that I didn't want to wreck the show 3 weeks prior to the fight. I said, listen, as I don't want to pull out, I will take the fight if you allow me, but I probably won't pass the medicals, because they do a medical, and at that point I could barely move my arm. So I knew if I did that in front of a doctor, he's going to say, mate, you can't fight. That's why I told them.
Yeah.
But when they gave me the injection, I got through it. But yeah, the third one was a mad one, because I went to Vegas for that camp over to Extreme Couture and trained in the Performance Institute, but my shoulder still wasn't right before that fight. And it wasn't like, hey, do you want to fight again? It was, here's your next opponent in 8 weeks. And I was like, oh shit, my shoulders, I haven't been wrestling, and my shoulder's still fucked, you know what I mean? Because I can punch, but I can't wrestle, you know.
And then you were in a fight with that shoulder as well.
Basically,
so took a few fucking heavy blows, I'm sure.
Well, actually, after that, after the Sam fight, I actually got surgery. So I had to get the surgery on it. Yeah. And he said, when I got to the surgery, it was the same surgeon that looked at the MRI, said there was way more damage done to the shoulder now from just the 3 weeks before the fight and then the fight itself. And even fight week, hitting the pads and stuff, I really took the piss with it, because I had to, you know. And he was like, man, you're nuts for fighting. Like, he thought I was crazy. The doctor was literally like, you are actually stone cold crazy. Like. And I was like, I know, but what else am I supposed to do? And he said I was allowed to fight. So, but you know, I went to Vegas for the tour camp over to Extreme, and the PI, they worked on my shoulder a lot. And Extreme Couture, unbelievable. The best training camp I've ever done in my life, for sure. You know, the highest level people there, great coaches, unbelievable atmosphere. Big shout out to Eric Nixick, unbelievably good coach. Completely took me under the wing for this. I was there for like 6 weeks, and then he actually came to China with me, as well as my teammate Lee Hammond. And it was just, again, that went very well as well. Like, no complaints. Unreal training camp. Travel up to China, like, of all places, one place I've always wanted to see, and really good spot. I had a PI over in China as well. That was cool. And then, yeah, man, that was just, it was a weird one, because when I was walking out to that fight, normally I'm fired up to fight, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, I love it, you know what I mean? It was almost like I was standing, it was exactly like that curtain there. That's the way the UFC is. And you were behind this sort of the curtain to keep it close. And then literally they're like counting you down for 10 seconds, and you open the curtain and you walk out, and I was standing there, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I even want to do this tonight. I'm just not feeling this one. And I was just like, I don't know about this, you know. I was like, fucking, everything just hit me, like, what am I doing here? Like, fuck me, like, you know, I'm just.
Do you feel that the last 2 defeats were sort of playing on your mind?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Everything was, you know, I had a new coach now. I'm over here. I'm just
so
like,
expectations were.
And I was like, high. I have to win this.
This is do or die.
Like, fuck him, you better win this one. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to die in here if I have to. Like, I was like, I can't let this lad beat me. You know, put so much pressure on myself. Because you know yourself, you lose this one, you're definitely out. Jesus, that's what I was thinking. And I've never felt that like in my life, walking into that cage. Yeah, there was 26,000 Chinese people in that arena. There was maybe like 4 Irish people, one of them being my girlfriend. And I'm standing in the cage. And even my teammate Lee Hammond said he was standing up on the cage. The whole cage was shaking with the noise of the Chinese crowd for your man. He started walking out. They went mental. The whole cage was vibrating. My whole body was vibrating. And I remember thinking, is this fucking place rocking? Like, is this like the cage was like shaking? And I was like, fucking hell, this is like the whole crowd is against me here. This is mental. I've never felt that before. And then I was like, right, cool, let's just get on with this. And then I was like,
so you have to park that.
I was done. As soon as he walked into the cage, I was like, I don't give a fuck about that now. I don't care. It's a fight. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me that much at all. To be honest, actually kind of relishing it now. I normally I laugh it off. I'm like, this is cool. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're all against me, do you know? But it wasn't even that it bothered me. It was like I was very conscious of what was happening. Yeah. And a fight will tell you, normally when you're in there, you're not very conscious of what's happening. You're very just in a zen mode. Like, you're in a state of like a trance mode that I can't even tell you what's going on. And then afterward, you don't even remember what happened. And you look back and you're like, fuck, I don't even remember throwing that punch. Yeah. You're in that very warped in frame of mind. But I could hear everything. I could see everything. I was like looking at me. I could feel everything. You know what I mean? And it was very I was very aware of what was going on.
So it got in?
It kind of just was, I felt real normal in there. And just not like I was in a fight. I felt like this is just kind of weird. This whole thing, this whole experience, you know what I mean? And then, to be fair, like when I seen him, I was like, he's nothing. I'm gonna run through this lad. I was the height of confidence. I was like, I'm gonna ruin him. I'm gonna knock him out 100%. And then it all just kind of went off the way it went off, and I got the illegal knee. But After that illegal knee, like, it's hard to explain what it's like getting concussed. Because, like, I mean, when I got the knee to the face and I busted my whole face open, normally before a fight, they put Vaseline in your eye. So they put Vaseline all over my face. So when the knee hit me in the face, I kind of grabbed my eye and the Vaseline and the blood went into my eye. So obviously I was impaired, my vision was impaired and I was kind of rocked and all over the place. So I kind of lost a bit of like memory. I was like, what's going on here?
Illegal knee too.
Illegal knee, again, didn't know what was going on all over the place. And then before I know it, the referee was like, Kiefer, are you ready? And I'm like, yeah, fight. And I'm like, oh shit, now? I thought like I'd gonna get time to recover.
Yeah, you're supposed to get,
I didn't really,
you're supposed to get 5 or 10 minutes or something, yeah?
It's supposed to be up to 5 minutes. Apparently not with an illegal knee.
Okay. This is what you found out afterwards?
Again, but I'm trying to verbalize this in 50 seconds and process what just happened in 50 seconds while there's blood in my eye and I'm rocked and I can't even speak at this point. I'm like all over the shop.
Is that a coach's role though, or your cornerman's role to step in? And
the cornerman was screaming. Eric, so long story short, so what happened was when I got the knee, the UFC official said it's over. To the point where they actually walked over to my corner team and took their microphones off because you have a microphone in the corner. So the microphone got took off my coaches. He stood up to come into the cage to assist me. The doctor came in and said, he's fine. But the doctor looked at the cut rather than concussion. He didn't look at the concussion or shine a light in my eyes and say, Kiefer, do you know where you are? The Chinese doctor couldn't speak English, right? He just went, yeah, he's fine. Like, as in, the cut's fine because it was here. Normally, if a cut is over your eye, it bleeds in, but if it's under, whatever. So when I'm there, the Mark said, do you want to fight? And I says, yeah. Like, but assuming he was going to wipe my eye and give me some time to recover a little bit. And then before you know it was over again. And it was only after the fight, I was like, shit, hold on. What even happened? And there was such a blur, you know what I mean? But again, that was kind of the story of my UFC career. It was kind of 3 mad fights, you know. But the moral of the whole story is that people think that you have a perfect training camp and you have a perfect preparation. Everything's so perfect and everything's great. But in there, it's chaotic. Beforehand, it's chaotic. Backstage is chaotic. Everything's chaotic. But you just get judged on the 15 minutes you're in there.
And you have to stay calm in that chaos.
Calm in the chaos, the hardest part, you know what I mean? And again, it can be, I was very calm that night, but again, you get an illegal knee. I was not expecting to get that, you know? And normally it's an immediate DQ. Like, I mean, after that, it's like, geez, I mean, that was the most blatant illegal knee I've ever seen. It wasn't like a complete mistake, like where he caught me as I was shooting in. I was upright guard and he was booed me into the face basically with his knee, and it couldn't have been more deliberate. And you don't come back from a shot like that. You need time to recover from a shot like that. That's a big shot, you know what I mean? And I know that from being in there, and for weeks I had like a 6-week concussion after that, to the point where like I couldn't even drive. That's how bad that shot was. So when I'm talking about like in the moment, 50 seconds later, Kiefer, are you ready to fight? Man, no, I'm actually not ready to fight.
You can barely fucking walk.
But of course I'm going to say because we're in the moment. Of course I'm going to say, let's go. Like, because that's what fighters are programmed to do. Yeah. We're programmed to say, yes, we are fighting. We're fighting.
Never back down.
No, never. Like, there's no such thing as, no. And I couldn't verbalize that to anyone in the moment. It was, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was crazy, man, to be honest. And in a way, I'm kind of glad the MMA part of my life is kind of over, because I've been in so many fights and so many wars that I'm just like, fuck, man, the body is broken down enough that.
Do you look back at that, though? Do you look back at UFC and that experience and have a sense of pride in terms of, you know what, I got there and I gave it my best? Or do you look back and go, fuck? Or is it a bit of both?
No, I'm definitely proud of myself for getting there, and it's a shame that it didn't go my way, and I'm snapping it didn't go my way, and it's never going to sit right with me. And
it's still stinging? It's
still stinging. It's going to sting till the day I do it, because I mean, that's who I am. I'm a competitor at the end of the day, you know.
But you could channel that anger, pain into your next venture?
I know I am. And of course I will. And I mean, at the end of the day, no matter I can bitch and moan and cry about it all day, it's not going to change the past. It is what it is, and I got to move on, right? So but when we talk about it, I'm still going to be like, I fucking wish I just done better. You know, that's the way, that's life, you know.
So you do look back at that experience and it's more regret than pride?
No, I'm definitely more pride. I don't regret anything as such. It's just that I'm kind of wish I went different. And you know, it's not that I was dealt a bad hand or anything like that. It was just that it didn't go perfect. It didn't go well. You know, no fight does go perfect anyways, but I would have liked to get the hand raised at least in the UFC, because part of the dream is getting there, and then the real dream is like being successful in there. You know, there's a big difference. Like, you know, getting there is the hard part, but winning is the close to impossible part.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the part. It's like, you know, you can go to base camp of Mount Everest all you want. Did you get to the top of it though? And you know, a lot of people get to the base camp and go, "Oh, that was cool," but not everyone has got to the top of it though. Do you know what I mean? There's a big difference. And the people that have got to the top of it, they're the ones you go, "Fuck me, mate, you are like part of that 1% club." Base camp is a thing people can do. It's still very difficult to do, very, very hard to do, and that's cool too. I kind of got to the base camp of the UFC. I got in there and it was shit though, but I didn't get to the top. You know, I was like, well, it is what it is.
It was an avalanche.
Yeah, it was an avalanche. That knee to the face was an avalanche.
Yeah. Some fella knocked you off the bottom. Yeah,
basically, yeah.
Fuck, man, that's hard though. Yeah, fuck me, man. But
no,
now,
that's life.
Like you're in the process of the next venture. You're in the process of now. Okay, I'm going to channel my fight. I'm going to channel this energy now into the next chapter of my life. What's that look like? Yeah, look, I've been boxing. I've been in the boxing gym now the past few months. Boxing is a very different sport to MMA, although it's fighting. It's different form of fighting. You know, it's just boxing. It's not as taxing on the body. It's not as hard on the body. Like the wrestling and the grappling really is where all the injuries happen and, you know, all the tweaks, and you're really in pain every day. Boxing is a very difficult sport. It's a very hard sport. It's more of like an endurance sport. It's a lot more fitness oriented, you know, which is why boxers run a lot. MMA, I didn't really run that much. I did a lot of strength and conditioning training, and I heard you don't like to run.
I hate running, man. Jesus Christ, I run a bat. That's about it. I don't like running.
It's a whole new fucking thing for you.
I hate running so much. I'm running like 4 times a week now, so I still do it. Do you know what I mean? But I'll be running saying I hate doing this. I'll be literally saying it out loud. I don't know how people do this. I'm doing 5Ks. I've done a couple of 6Ks. I'm not into the long distance thing at all.
So, but you're sort of programming it to the duration of the fight, sort of?
In a way, kind of, and a little, like just trying to build the lungs and the legs up, you know what I mean? That's the way I look at cardio's legs and lungs, you know, because I mean, at the end of the day, I sparred last week, that's tiring, that's fitness, right? So I'd rather put my time and effort into that, and, you know, pad work, bag work, skipping, you know, stuff, because that's all fitness oriented as well.
And it's more related to the boxing.
Far more related to the boxing. I'm not training for a marathon, I'm training for a fight, right? So I'd rather focus on that. I call it like the A and B side of training. A side of training is boxing. B side is running. You know, I'll never prioritize my runs over my boxing training or vice versa, like or MMA training. Yeah, like these fighters that do like strength and conditioning 5 times a week, but then they grapple 3 times a week. It's like, mate, maybe you should grapple 5-6 times a week and strength train twice a week. You know, there's a lot of fighters that do that. They'll run 6 days a week. I'm in the gym boxing 3 times a week. It's like, well, you know, you're training for a marathon here. True. You know, you're super fit, but the guy that's boxing twice a day every day is gonna beat you. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just the way it works. So I'd rather put more effort into the sport rather than just the runs. You know what I mean? So to get away from the running. You know what I mean? Get away from the running.
Yeah. I'm going boxing instead. Yeah. You want to grapple, lads? No.
Trust me, I've asked it too many times.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Especially when they get the upper hand, I'm like, this bastard's lucky I can't take him down.
Just taking them in the ring, yeah.
Throw a leg kick or something. Trust me, I would be tempted sometimes. And they're punching me around.
Yeah. It's a different game, man. Yeah. And what's the fire in the belly now then? What's the purpose behind this for you?
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I just want to go back to having fun fighting, you know. MMA is not fun, you know what I mean? It's fighting in a cage is not fun. Like people, I love the gym, I love training, that's all great and stuff, but
do you like the prep?
I love prepare. Like training is everything to me, you know. I live in the gym, you know, twice a day every day in the gym since I'm a young lad, and it's all I know. It's all I've ever done, you know what I mean? And I'm still fascinated with, you know, becoming a great fighter and grappling. And if you don't use it, you lose it, you know what I mean? So if you're not grappling all the time and boxing and training, you know, you don't stay in shape. You know, you gotta stay in the gym to stay in shape. If you're not grappling all the time, you're gonna get rusty. So I like to stay on top of my game and still be a good fighter. But for me, it's like we live in a very different time now with this boxing thing. You know, I come from an MMA background, and I have an opportunity maybe to cross over and be the MMA guy in the boxing fights. You know what I mean? And fight these other MMA lads or so-called celebrity heads. You know what I mean? And make a few quid. So I'd like to do that. I'm in talks with a good few organisations, and I already have one potentially booked for June. But I'm not allowed to say too much about that yet, apparently. So
can you say where it is?
It's in Dublin.
It's in Dublin. Okay.
Yeah.
It hasn't been announced yet.
It hasn't been announced yet, but they definitely said I'm on it in Dublin in June. And but I'm just not allowed to speak about it for some whatever reason.
Yeah,
so
okay, fair
June
enough.
will be happening. But that's June. Now it's February. I'd like to fight before then as well.
Yeah.
I'd like something in March or April just to kind of keep me ticking over, get a win, get back in there, and but it's harder than you think. As I said to you before this, it's not just like, hey, can I get a fight? And they say, yeah, it's to jump through so many hoops, man, to get a fight. Especially me being the MMA lad. A lot of fighters might just want to stay away from that, and even in the boxing world, it's very different. Funny enough, the boxing world doesn't respect the MMA lads coming over to boxing, because they think we can't box. But when you're in a sport that requires you to do like 50 other things, our boxing, of course, isn't going to be up to the standard of a boxer who just boxes. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to do 50 other things.
Yeah.
But when I strip all that away and I'm just boxing now for the foreseeable, I'm, good enough. Maybe I'm not going to be like a world-class elite level boxer. I've challenged Canelo for a title.
Hey, don't put that out there.
I won't put it out there. But listen, if they came tomorrow and said you want to fight him, I'd say, yeah, of course. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be at that level. I'm a realist, but at the same time, I can still get in and have some fun and have some exciting fights. I have a few names like the likes of Tommy Fury. I wanted to fight for years. Tony Ferguson, like Anderson Silva. There's a lot of fighters that like I'd love to do a boxing fight with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because one, it's entertaining. Two, they're good fights. And three, I know I'd beat them all. So there's a lot of reasons I want to do it and make some fucking money doing it.
Make some money, yeah.
So we live in a very different time where that's happening a lot more now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no one else in Ireland that's really doing it. So I have the name to do it. So why not just have a bit of fun? No stress, no pressure. Just going to have fun. I love boxing. It's a great sport. I really do. And I love the boxing gym. You know what I mean? Celtic Warriors. Everyone in the gym's just so, they're just good people and hard working people, and it's just good to be around them all day, every day. Do you know what I mean? And the likes of Thomas Carty, as you said earlier, like he's one of my best friends. And we just have a bit of crack in the gym every day, get hard work in and have a focus.
That connection, that community,
it's so important, man. Do you know what I mean? Jesus, because your environment is everything in the fight game. Like if you're in a gym and it's just shit environment and everyone's just negative and they're not friends, you're not going to spend that long in the gym. You're going to leave. And in the likes of a boxing gym or martial arts gyms, it's always full of great people, like-minded people. Do you know, some of my best friends, like, so long may it last, you know what I mean?
What happens then? Have you considered it in terms of the day when you don't fight anymore? What does that look like?
Yeah, scary. Yeah, scary.
It's scary, yeah.
It's very scary, life is a fight, you know what I mean? Every day is a battle, every day is something, you know what I mean? A man needs purpose. I need a purpose. I need something to get up and do every day. And
so it's not fight, then you have to find a new purpose.
I got to find a new purpose then. As of now, I still have a bit of fight in me. So, there's always different ventures, and I'm in the process right now of doing a few other things as well.
Cool.
I'm starting, I have my own business that I'm working on really hard the past few months. I'm actually in the process of creating my own podcast.
Class.
That'll be coming soon.
Nice one.
There's, other things that, again, I can't speak about just yet before I launch it. You know what I mean? Because I want it to be like a big impact when I do launch it.
So here's your plan Bs.
A lot of plan Bs, and it's funny because I've had like a list of plan Bs per se for years, and I just never had time to execute them or put time into them because of training so much. And I think everyone thinks as well, I'm just going to open a gym. Everyone just thinks I'm going to open a gym all of a sudden. I definitely would consider opening a gym. Right now, Ireland is in a bit of a shambles with money and renting a spot, buying a spot. Places are just gone crazy. It's not feasible. So right now, I've no desire to go down that road and put myself under financial stress by opening a big gym. I would love to. Do you know what I mean?
Would you like to become a coach?
Yeah, well, I've coached my whole life. You see, I've coached since I'm 15. I've been a full-time coach too, I take on clients and PTs. I have a few loyal people that have been PTs for years with me.
But even in the professional game,
maybe, I would. I think it's a very different lifestyle. I have 3 kids, you see, and I don't think I'll be into the whole dedicating all my time to be traveling with fighters and going abroad and putting it all into them just yet. It's a lot, you know what I mean?
You decide to do one thing and you're deciding not to do something else, and then you're looking at their kids going...
Yeah, I've spent enough time away from my kids with my own training that I don't think I have it in me to spend more time away from them with, being there for other fighters now. Got to be there for my kids, you know what I'm saying? So if I can make money doing other things while, working on myself and my own businesses, but at the same time, I don't have to just leave for weeks on end.
You're home. Yeah.
I'd rather do that, you know what I'm saying? But again, the fight game is still very much there, and who knows what's next? I could just open the gym soon. You never know. I don't know. There's options though. There's always options. You know what I mean? But
We'll not cross that bridge yet.
Not yet.
In a few years time, we'll get you back in here when you're 40 or 42 or something like that. We'll talk about what you're at then. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Kiefer, man, this has been incredible and really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you very much, man.
For everyone listening, where can they find you, follow your journey, follow your next chapter in life, and maybe get in touch or work with you potentially? Where's the best place to get you?
I don't know. Instagram. I don't know. Google me. Maybe don't get in touch with me. Leave me alone.
Yeah, there you go.
All
All
right.
right.
Left alone.
Leave me alone, people. Yeah.
Anyways.
All good. Yeah. Instagram, Kiefer Crosbie.
Thanks very much, Gavin.
Nice
Thanks for
one.
having me on. Best of luck with everything, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Declan Construction and Carpentry for all your second fixing, first fixing, roofing, decking, flooring, dooring, whatever it is you need to do in your house. He's the man for the job. Click the link below, check out his work, and get in touch. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. However, if something in it resonated with you, send me a DM at Gavin Meenan on Instagram and let me know what that was. Chat soon.